The film begins with the continuation of the Iron Man Part 1 movie, where Tony Stark is telling the media, "I am Iron Man," and this movie starts from that point onward. Now that everyone knows who Iron Man is, we are shown an old man in a city in Russia named Ivan Vanko. He is watching Tony Stark's press conference on TV, where Tony had just announced that he is Iron Man. Ivan's father, Anton Vanko, had once been partners with Tony's father, Howard Stark. Together, they had created the arc reactor technology. However, driven by greed for money, Anton tried to sell this technology to others, which led to Howard Stark exiling him from the country. Anton is now living his final days. His son, Ivan, is also present. Ivan is a brilliant but unstable scientist who had only recently been released from prison. On his deathbed, Anton apologizes to his son Ivan, saying, "I couldn't give you anything except my knowledge." Saying this, Anton dies. Ivan holds the Stark family responsible for everything that happened to his father. He believes that whatever happened to his father was because of the Stark family. To take revenge, he builds a real arc reactor using his father's final designs and, with its help, creates his own suit, which he names Whiplash. With the power of this suit, he can slice any metal in two. He then begins preparing to confront Tony Stark. The story then jumps forward 6 months. We see Tony Stark making a grand entry at the Stark Expo, where he tells the people that his father's dream was to build a city whose buildings he couldn't complete, but he will definitely fulfill this dream. Tony also shows the people a video message from his father talking about the Stark Expo. Tony Stark had now become very famous, and people had started considering him their superhero. However, during this time, his health begins to deteriorate, and poison starts spreading in his blood due to the palladium in the arc reactor. The very arc reactor Tony had built to save his life was now slowly killing him. Meanwhile, the government is after Tony's Iron Man suit. They want Tony to hand over his Iron Man suit to them so that its control would be in the government's hands, not an ordinary individual's. But Tony flatly refuses, saying, "I built that suit, and it is now a part of my life that I cannot give to you at any cost." We then see Justin Hammer, the owner of a weapons manufacturing company and a competitor of Stark Industries because Stark Industries had stopped manufacturing weapons. Therefore, the government now procured weapons from Justin Hammer. On the other hand, Justin claims that Tony's Iron Man suit is a danger to the country. In response, Tony plays a video clip for everyone present, showing that several other companies from different countries are also attempting to build Iron Man suits, but their results are very poor. Moreover, Justin Hammer is also desperately trying to build a similar suit, but his robotic suits are nowhere near as good as Tony's Iron Man suit. This leads to Justin Hammer being heavily humiliated in the entire assembly. Later, Tony is shown in his lab, replacing the palladium core in his chest. Jarvis informs him that the poison leaking from the core is spreading rapidly in his body. Just then, Tony's assistant, Pepper Potts, arrives, very angry because Tony had donated his modern art collection to an institution. As Pepper is expressing her anger, Tony suddenly makes her the CEO of his company. Pepper is quite shocked but agrees to become the CEO after Tony persuades her. The next day, Tony is practicing boxing with Happy when Pepper arrives with her lawyer, Natalie. Natalie needs Tony's thumbprints. Tony calls Natalie into his boxing ring and tells her to learn some boxing tips from Happy. Without thinking much, she agrees to enter the ring. Before Happy can teach her anything, she delivers a strong blow and knocks him out in the ring. Seeing this, Tony and Pepper are very surprised. Later, Tony searches for Natalie on Google and then tells Pepper that from now on, Natalie will be his assistant. We are then shown Monaco, where a Formula 1 race is about to take place. Tony Stark arrives with his entire team to attend the race. Before the race starts, Tony and Pepper meet other guests, including Elon Musk, who shares his idea for an electric jet with Tony. Tony then meets Justin Hammer, who tries to show excessive familiarity, but Tony doesn't like this pretense and leaves after snubbing him. We then see Tony heading straight to the Formula 1 race track, where he is participating in the race himself. Then, Ivan Vanko makes an entry. As soon as the race starts, he suddenly appears on the track and starts attacking the racing cars. His main target is Tony Stark. As Tony's car approaches, Ivan attacks it, splitting it into 2 pieces. Tony tries hard to defend himself from the attack but appears weak against Ivan's Whiplash suit. Seeing this scene on the news channel, Pepper and Happy drive their car onto the Formula 1 race course and somehow manage to save Tony. Happy injures Ivan with his car. Meanwhile, Pepper gives Tony his Iron Man suit. Wearing his suit, Tony fights Ivan, injures him, and hands him over to the police. Later, we see Tony going to the police interrogation room to meet Ivan. Tony asks him why he attacked him and also says, "Your technology was amazing, and if you sold it to any country's army, you would get a fortune for it." Ivan then reveals that he is the son of Anton Vanko. In the next scene, it is shown that some of Ivan's staff help him break out of jail. Ivan is taken directly to a large factory where Hammer is waiting for him because he was the one who got him out of jail. Actually, Hammer was present during the attack on Tony at the racetrack and had closely observed Ivan's Whiplash technology. Hammer now places a deal in front of Ivan: "I freed you, and in return, you will build an advanced technology suit like Iron Man for me." Ivan agrees to the deal and shakes hands. Ivan then shows Hammer his robots, calls all those robots useless, and says, "The software you are using is garbage." Just then, his friend, Colonel James Rhodes, arrives. He sees that Tony's health is deteriorating even more, and he looks very weak. The next day, Tony sees that the poison level in his blood has reached 89%. Tony tried hard to find an element that could replace palladium, but he didn't succeed because no such metal had been created yet that could take palladium's place. This disappoints Tony greatly because it was his birthday, and he starts celebrating it as his last birthday, realizing he wouldn't survive long like this. At his birthday party, Tony arrives wearing the Iron Man suit. He has drunk a lot of alcohol, making him uncontrollable. Pepper is very embarrassed seeing this. Just then, his friend James arrives. He gets very angry seeing Tony behaving recklessly in his suit. To calm him down, James goes to Tony's lab, puts on the other Iron Man suit, and arrives at the party location. Here, we learn that no one besides Tony can wear his Iron Man suit, and even if someone tries, they don't get access to the suit. But when Tony realizes that his life doesn't have much time left, he grants access to all his Iron Man suits to his friend James. Now, to stop Tony, James fights him, causing a lot of destruction at the party. After the fight with Tony ends, James takes the Iron Man suit and goes to a military camp. The military officials are very happy to have the suit in their possession, after which Hammer is called to install weapons on the Iron Man suit. Meanwhile, we see Tony sitting on the roof of a restaurant, eating a donut. Just then, Nick Fury makes an entry. The two are having a confidential conversation when Natalie arrives there in a Black Widow suit. Tony is surprised to see Natalie in this new form. She then tells him that she is SHIELD agent Natasha Romanoff and that Nick Fury had sent her to keep an eye on Tony. Then, Natasha gives him an injection of lithium dioxide, which slightly reduces the effect of his rapidly progressing illness. Then, Nick Fury tells him, "For now, you can function as before, but this is not a permanent cure because you have to find the cure yourself. And if you think you've tried everything, that's a big misconception on your part." At the same time, Nick Fury also reveals a secret to Tony. Tony's father, Howard Stark, was one of the founding members of the. After saying this, he leaves, handing over a box of his father's belongings to Tony Stark. Tony opens the box, which contains some documents and video footage of his father, Howard Stark. Tony plays them one by one. In one of the videos, there is a secret message for Tony, which his father had recorded when Tony was a small child. Actually, when Tony's father created the arc reactor, he had also invented a new element at that time. But due to technical limitations, he couldn't use that element at the time. That's why his father used palladium in the arc reactor at that time. But Howard Stark believed that one day, Tony would surely be able to use that element. Therefore, he had hidden its structure in the model of the Stark Expo. Tony had seen the video but was still confused about how to create this new element. The next day, he goes to meet Pepper, who is currently in her office at Stark Industries. Actually, he has come to apologize to Pepper for his mistake on his birthday, but she is still angry with him and gets up and leaves. After that, as Tony is about to leave, his eyes fall on his father's Stark Expo model, on which is written "The Future." He then takes the model to his lab and, after some brainstorming and with Jarvis's help, understands its structure, allowing him to create a new, powerful element for himself that fits perfectly on the arc reactor. Now, Tony is free from the poison of palladium. On the other hand, Hammer calls Ivan and asks if his robots are ready. Ivan says the robots are not ready, so he cannot show them to anyone. Hammer then reminds Ivan of the deal they made. Then, Hammer leaves him at his factory under the supervision of his security officer, instructing him that the robots must be ready by the time he returns from the Stark Expo. But as soon as Hammer leaves, Ivan kills the 2 security officers present there. He then calls Tony and says, "I have doubled the power cycle in my suit as a tribute to you." After this, he challenges Tony to a fight. At the Stark Expo, Hammer makes a grand entry and presents his iron robots one by one for each branch of the military. He also launches the War Machine, worn by Colonel James Rhodes, in front of the people. But Hammer is unaware that the control of all the iron robots present there is in Ivan's hands because Ivan had made the deal only to use Hammer's resources to take revenge on Tony. Suddenly, Iron Man makes an entry at the expo. Then, Ivan one by one sets all his robots to attack Tony Stark. People present at the expo panic upon seeing this, and a situation of chaos ensues. Just then, Natasha and Pepper find out who is behind all this. After that, Natasha and Happy go to Hammer's factory to stop Ivan, but by then, Ivan has already left. Natasha removes James Rhodes' control from Ivan's computer, so the suit comes under his control. Then, a fierce battle takes place between Ivan's robots and Tony. One by one, Tony and James destroy all the robots. Finally, Ivan arrives there in his upgraded Whiplash suit, and another fierce battle begins. In this battle, Ivan overwhelms Tony and James, but then James and Tony use their powers together to attack Ivan simultaneously, leading to his death. But at that moment, they realize that all the robots Tony had destroyed had time bombs set on them. Pepper was very close to those robots, but Tony, without wasting any time, picks up Pepper and takes her away, after which all the robots explode simultaneously, and Pepper's life is saved. After this, the film shows Tony sitting in front of Nick Fury, who is telling him that Natasha has prepared a report on him, stating that he is not suitable to join the Avengers, but his suit would be useful to them. Tony gets angry at this, but Nick Fury gives Tony another offer to work as a consultant for the Avengers. To this, Tony says, "You can't afford me, but I will agree to one of your conditions, that I be honored by the government tomorrow. You will have to arrange a good speaker for the speech there." In the next scene, we see the senator who was opposing Tony initially is now calling him the protector of the country. In the post-credit scene, we see that Agent Coulson has arrived in New Mexico, where, looking at an object found during an excavation in the desert, he calls Nick Fury and says, "We found it." Here, the film ends.